morning and welcome to Free Advice Friday. My name is Keri for New Shelves Books, and we are here to talk about publishing, marketing, and the business of being an author. We meet every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. You are welcome to join us live by going to newshelves.com/FAF, or you are able to email in your questions to info@newshelves.com, and we will answer them live, and you can catch the replay over on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is just New Shelves Books. You can follow us there and get a notification when our new episodes go live. We also do tutorials and some other helpful things over on YouTube. So that is what we've got for you today. We've got quite a few questions that have been emailed in. We've got a question live and we have some industry news. So let's get started. We are going to start here with a question from Cheryl. And Cheryl's question was, when starting my author journey as a self-publisher, or honestly as an author, how should I brand my website? Should I be branding my name? And the answer is, for all authors, whether you are indie published, traditionally published, it does not matter. I strongly encourage you to go and, yes, at the very least, grab your domain. If your name is, for example, I have Keri Barnum, I have KeriRayBarnum.com. I have both of those because I want to be able to have them and claim them. Now, have I done the right thing and made websites for them? No, but I do have the territory. I have the online name and I can do that. And I'm going to do that, when I get around to it. But the idea is that branding your name is going to be how most people find you. People usually search for the author by name. They don't search for the book title. They don't search for the series very often. If they're searching on like Amazon maybe, but for a website, it's usually the author's name. So that's what I would be grabbing as far as a domain name. That's what I would be building and branding. Now, if you are writing a series, for example, and you're writing a series and you say, but a lot of people search my series. Guys, most domain names for a year, it's super inexpensive. It's less than like $15 a year to claim a domain name in a lot of places. So what I would do personally, if I had my author name in a book series, I would grab my author name, KeriBarnum.com, and then I'd grab the book series name as well.com preferably. Yes, there's .net and all the things, but .com looks the most official and it's one of the most trusted. So I would go for .com if possible, but I would grab the series name as well. Not because you have to have an entirely new website, but so that you can have that territory online. You can take the domain name, just forward it on to the series page on your website. That way you're kind of cornering the traffic and you're branding yourself and you're claiming it so other people can't use it. If you are self-publishing, the kind of follow-up question is, if I'm self-publishing, do I need a website or a domain name for my imprint, my publishing imprint? This is completely up to you. I will say in most cases, people are not looking up the publisher or the publisher website for who published a book. Now, that's not to say that if it's a huge publisher that people aren't going to visit HarperCollins or Penguin, but most of the time we search the author in the book. We don't necessarily search the publisher. So if you've got the money, sure, claim the imprint online. You can even do like a landing page or, that different thing. If you're publishing multiple people's books under your imprint, I personally think you should just have that domain name and hopefully have a website to represent the books that you're publishing. But as far as if you're just publishing your own books, do you have to have it? Not necessarily. I would definitely go for your name before I went for the publisher imprint name. And something I have seen quite a few times, I've been seeing quite a few times where publishers, usually these are bigger trade publishers, who are so helpful in getting their authors set up that they will claim the author's domain name under their account. So for example, big publisher says, oh, we have a new author named Joe Smith. We're going to go get joesmith.com. And what they do is they forward joesmith.com to the big publisher's website that lists Joe Smith's book. And that sometimes feels like, wow, they're being so helpful. Look what they did for me. The problem with this, though, is that they have taken what you would like to be as your branded territory and they've pointed your name and your traffic to their website, which seems like a good thing because you don't have to create a website. And it seems like a good thing because, it points to your books. But I would not personally want anyone else to be taking my name, my claim, and pointing traffic anywhere else, even if it was to my book on their website. So, whether you are published, if you are self-publishing, if you are querying, I would be taking your pen name, your author name, and I would be buying the domain name now. Even if you have no website, even if you have a very basic landing page website, if you're a querying author, just have the basics there. That's fine. But I personally would be, you know me, I like if it's online, I want to stick my territory and claim my land. And I would recommend that you do the same. Because it ties to your name. And what happens if you end up with multiple publishers, or what happens if you decide that you're doing traditional publishing, but you're also doing indie publishing, which is becoming more and more popular to do both? What happens if you decide I wrote one book, but really I'm branding myself as a consultant or something like that? Um, I cannot speak to the thought process of the publishers I've seen do this. And again, these are not little tiny imprint publishers, they're bigger publishers. So I can't speak to their thought process or their intentions behind it, but I can tell you that I would personally want to own my own domain that was, bringing in traffic. So my 2 cents there. And it is very difficult if the publisher does grab that domain name. It's very difficult to bring it back into you. Very, very difficult if you can do it at all. They will also do this with social media accounts. They will create a Facebook page for the author, and then they'll start and they'll say, oh, we've already created it. Just do it here. But what they're not telling you is it's in their business portfolio attached to them. So you cannot get rid of them. If like all of your account, if they decide to delete your page, it's gone. Mm-mm. I'm a very big fan of owning your spot online. Yeah, it's like it seems like a good thing, but it's not. Yes, it would make for a messy divorce. So just don't do it. Just don't do it. All right, our next question that we had come up here, let's do this one. Um, Talk about marketing strategies for the holidays, also strategies when you don't have a new book out to market. These are really good questions. Excuse me. Let me first talk about what happens when you don't have a new book to market, where you're like, all right, I wrote my book 3 years ago. Can I still sell it? Should I still market it? Well, you guys know because I've said it ad nauseum. I'm not even sorry. A book that is not seen is a book that cannot be bought. And when you stop marketing a book is when you stop selling your book. So you can always market your book if you want it to sell, as long as it's relevant. I mean, if it was like, I don't know, how to tackle your healthcare plan in 2021, um, it's maybe not as marketable now and it needs a new edition and update, different things like that. But for the most part, books very often, especially fiction titles, are going to be evergreen. And so, yes, you keep marketing your book. Now, it does shift. When you first launch a book, you're throwing everything at it. You're applying for awards, you're applying for reviews, you're trying to get reviews. You're probably putting a lot more into a book in the first couple of months to year that it launches, because that's when it's fresh. That's when you have the opportunity for some of these things. Not that you can apply for an award for a book that's been out for several years, but you're a lot less likely to get it, and it's kind of just going to be aged a little bit. So I don't personally recommend that. But what can you do? Ads, and more ads. They never go out of style. Chris Bennett, who we talked about at the beginning of the show, who's reached over 1,000 reviews on book one. Well, number one, it's the first book in a series, and Chris and I were just talking about this yesterday. You have to market book one. Book one is the only book we run ads on, and we run ads constantly. And when we see there's sales that are slowing down, the first thing I go to and look at is How is book one selling? Because it doesn't matter about the backlist. If our newest or our number one book is not selling, that is the feed. That's the feed in, the tie in to the whole book sales chain. So if book one is not getting page reads, if it's not getting orders and sales, nothing else is. So we're constantly, and I said it's been out like 3 years, we're still marketing book one. I have another client, again, we market their biggest, most popular book, even though it's been out for 8, 9 years, and it still sells because it can be seen and it can be bought. And it's built up a lot of lovely reviews and social credibility. So as long as it's still relevant and it's not dated, it can still sell. Now, one caveat is that sometimes a book is still very relevant, but it looks really dated. Your cover looks dated. You may have to give her a facelift. It's fine. It's no big deal. But just know that it's never too late really to market your book. I've even worked with books who people come to me and they're like, look, I published this book 2 years ago. I kind of forgot about it. I did nothing with it. And now I'd really like to market it. There's still opportunity. And so I think it's such an important thing to do that. Now, as far as long-term marketing, ads, and more ads, they are some of the best ways to get people over to your sales pages. So I highly recommend that. But also be creative. Are you going to local craft fairs or festivals or things? The holidays can be a fantastic time to do this, especially depending on your book. If you have children's books very often, not always, very often, will sell like hotcakes at holiday markets, at festivals and fairs. Because why? Because many times the demographic for craft fairs and things is a little bit older. They tend to be parents, probably even grandparents. And grandparents are there and they love to shop and support and actually buy things. And they like to buy books. And so it can be a fantastic opportunity. Thinking about how you can generate interest. Can you do a book signing? Can you do a library read along, a book club? What works for your book? Because every book will be different depending on the audience and the demographic. But ads work for almost every book. And then thinking about what you can physically do, how you can bring it up in the news, or how you can make your book tie to a current event or trend or holiday is always really smart. And that's what I would be doing. And I know everyone's going to kind of hate me for this, but the best way to sell your current book is to write your next book, because that is where you make money, is when you have more than one product. Now, for those of you maybe who are like, hey, I don't write fiction, I have a nonfiction title, and I wrote the book I needed to write. Fantastic. Rather than writing your next book, maybe it's, what are you doing with your book to make it bigger than a book? Meaning, do you have a course that you could sell? Do you have a consulting program? Are you doing speaking? What are you doing to take that idea of your book to make it bigger? Because that's what has to happen. Because once you get your customer on board, they bought your book. Now what? If you want to keep earning money from them, then you have to give them something new, whether it be a new book, a new product, a new idea. I don't know. I don't care, but we have to have more, or else we're stuck in the loop of constantly trying to have to find a new customer, which we're doing anyway, hopefully. But if we can find new customers and sell them something, and take our existing customers and sell them more things, then your bottom line is going to look much better. So start thinking about it that way, that you really have to go, you know, it's looking bigger and consistently. People, like, I've heard people say, well, I did ads for a year, so I think I'm done now. I'm like, wait, are your ads selling your books? Yes. Okay. Are they earning you money, or are they at least paying for themselves? Yes. Why are we stopping our ads? That's not how it works. The minute you stop marketing it, the minute people don't see it, and then they can't buy it. I love that. Bob's talking about sending his 2 local radio stations free copies and a PR kit to with his book, which is a fantastic idea. Like, if you want to work with local media and news, It's not enough just say I'm a local author who has a book. You have to tell them, I'm a local author who has a book that actually is very giftable and perfect for Christmas. And then yes, send them a PR kit or you send them a book. Um, or you're tying it to something. I have a book that is tied into local history or something. Your book on its own is beautiful. It's amazing. I mean, it is amazing that you wrote it, honestly, that you published it. That is a huge feat, but it's not news unless you make it news. So you have to make it news. Let's see. What are the most important things to remember when self-publishing a new edition of your book? When you're doing a new edition of your book, I think it's just important to remember that if you're doing a new edition, you're probably going to relaunch your book. And when we talk about launching a book, people think, oh, it's going to be such a big event. Everyone will want to buy it. And the truth is that your market, your friends, your family, it's not new to them. They've already seen this book. They're going to say, wow, that's awesome. They're not going to rebuy your book because you're relaunching it or you have a new cover or something like that. So it's important to remember that when you're relaunching a book, if it was a brand new book, you're launching to your market, your email list, your fans, your friends, your family, your audience. But when you're relaunching a book, it's not exciting for them anymore. So you have to create your own buzz, ebook promotions, different things. You can't be as dependent on your readership or your circle for that launch. You have to make your own buzz, and it's going to be a little bit harder, very doable, but a little bit harder, and it's going to be a little bit quieter. And you have to be okay with that, realizing that big launches, big sales right away, it's a great thing. It's very heartening and encouraging, but that does not necessarily give you long-term success. So you really have to consider what's going to give you the long-term success, even if it means trudging through something that feels like it's a new book, it's a new launch, and then you're like, crickets. That's okay. You have to create your own buzz. So I think that's something that you definitely have to think about. And going back, Nathan, I skipped all over on your question. Going back to what can you do for holiday marketing specifically? So for holiday marketing, again, ads that tie in. We talked a little bit, I think last week, about how you can tie in like Facebook ads with imagery of Christmas, or is your book giftable? Is it not giftable? Be honest with yourself. Holiday markets are a great thing to do. I have seen there's one author and she does this so beautifully because she really loves to do it, but she makes these amazing gift baskets that she sells at markets. She puts her books in every single basket, but it's like a basket for mom, a basket, like there's like these baskets, and she sells so many at these holiday markets because it's not just her book. She's selling this beautiful homemade cozy looking package that people are picking up for wives, moms, grandmas, sisters. And so it's the idea of, again, how can you package your book to be part of something bigger or something that feels more complete? Saying, oh, you could give this book with a blanket to your mom for Christmas. Great. Or saying, here, I've done the work for you. It's beautifully packaged. Give this to mom for Christmas. Even if it's more expensive, that sounds great. That sounds fantastic. It's why we pay for nice boxes and gift wrapping and all of those things. So think about, again, those in-person sales when we're also thinking about if your book is something that's typically bought in print. So if your book is going to be like a children's book, like Bob's book, which is very much like a coffee table art book, these things, remember that people will need to order them ahead of time to get them for Christmas, which means your sales online are going to drop off about a week, maybe 2 weeks before Christmas. And can you partner with local shops? Can you go into a local gift shop, and even if they don't want to just take your book or order it from Ingram, could you do a consignment deal with them? Could you put it in the local coffee shop and do a consignment deal with them, or just do a book signing at the local coffee shop? The local bookstore is going to be very busy. They've probably already planned all of their space, honestly, but you can always check and see if they've got openings or doing holiday markets. If you want to do a book signing or event with them, in the November, December timeframe. You typically need to be checking back in June, but it's always an option. Um, and then, so there's that option as well. And so I think it's all about thinking, how is your book giftable? Or if your book is not giftable, if you write steamy romance or you write something that people typically buy themselves, know that you can still market. There's a lot of people buying things around Christmas, but your time to shine may be the week after Christmas when everyone gets new Kindles for Christmas and now they are filling up their Kindle with new ebooks, or they just got Kindle Unlimited and they're downloading a bunch of new books. So just keep in mind the type of product you have may kind of stipulate when your best opportunity of sales is. If it's something that's typically bought in print, your time to shine is now until about December 15th, let's call it. If you are an author of books that are typically self-bought, then you can still market now, but your time to shine might be the week or two after Christmas. So just keep that in mind because that will definitely play into your holiday marketing plans. And that is why there's no blanket answer for most things in marketing, but especially here, you really have to know your own book and the things there. So let's see. If authors don't want to deal with the complications of having a website, should an author hire a freelance web designer and work for a publisher? Some of our authors have websites on our account because they don't want to manage the back end. All right, here's my tough love. Here's the thing. Suck it up. That's the only thing I can say. When authors say I don't want to, then I say you either get the bare bones up there and you leave it. You make something that does not have to be updated. It's simply got your name, your books, and an email contact field, and that's it. And you don't have to fiddle with it, and it is what it is. Or you hire someone who can update for you if that's something you want to do. But the thing is that there's a lot of things in our jobs that we don't love to do. I don't love working on my website. I don't love billing, but you know what? I really like to get paid. So sometimes there are parts of being an author that we don't love. But if we are thinking and authors are thinking about their platform, if they're thinking about, I want to do this for a long time, if they're thinking about their career as an author, then my advice is simply, I'm sorry you don't want to do it anyway. Grab your domain name. It is so super easy. I mean, literally 5 minutes easy, even if you don't put up a website. Get a very basic landing page. Hire a web designer if you need to. They have templates almost everywhere. I will say Wix is not my favorite. Wix. Wix is not my favorite for someone who's trying to do sales directly from their website or have a very complicated website. But I will say that for someone who wants to choose a template and get their stuff up really quickly, Wix is very, very easy to use. I have created websites on Wix in an hour. It is that easy to use to just plug and play. If this is not your skill set, then save up and hire someone to do it. If you need to have someone that you can pay by the hour when you need updates, find that person to do it. But claim your land online, claim your domain name, and start there. We are not all skilled in every area, and sometimes we do need to hire on help. But what it comes down to is, again, did you write these books for yourself, or did you write them because you want people to buy them, read them, and enjoy them? If you wrote these books because you want to share them, then sometimes we've got to do the things we don't want to do. I don't want to clean my house, but I sure like living here, and I like not sharing my space with bugs. So I've got to clean my house. Not every part of being an author is just going to be the warm, fuzzy, happy, like, man, I'm motivated. Sometimes you got to put in the work, and sometimes you've got to do those admin tasks that you don't love, or you have to pay someone else to do them for you. And I think that's just one of the things. And some people will love Wix, some people will hate it, some people like Squarespace, or they will do a free site somewhere else. I don't know. I'm not that experienced. I know enough to be very dangerous, and that's it. But suck it up. I hate to be that harsh, but that's kind of what it is. Chris, I have this in writing now, so I will hold you to that at some point. Let's see. I'm just reading through the comments here. Yes, there are a lot of affordable like AI tools or different tools that will help you create a basic website. WordPress is an author website. Again, I am not skilled enough in this area to give advice. I can say I've worked in Squarespace, I've worked in Wix. I have the paid WordPress one. Is it WordPress? I don't know, but I like that one. It's got a lot of tools. It's a little more complicated to use, in my opinion, but I need that for new shelves. But you should talk to someone who is qualified or do some of your own research. I know just enough, again, to be very, very dangerous. Yes, and there's a lot of people on Fiverr who can, help create simple landing pages and stuff. Yeah, WordPress has a lot of features. I'll say I did not set that up for myself. I can manage it, but I did not set that up for myself, nor will I ever help anyone else do that. Let's see. Yeah, emotion. Yeah, lots of, comments just with the things. Well, Kevin, you're a gem. WordPress.org is free. I'm sorry, WordPress.org is paid. The .com is free. So I have the paid one, I think. Let's see. Yes. And Bob is saying, my website looks complicated, but wasn't. Exactly. Use those templates, use those tools. Absolutely. Like, I love how people are like, yes, you have the paid one, Keri. Thank you for knowing more about my website than me. It's a good thing you're really good at marketing books, right? The whole, admin stuff. When I say suck it up, I say it to myself as well. So if that gives you any comfort. And sometimes I will say, I am brought on to consult with many publishers because I do. I work on marketing programs and I consult directly with authors who are building their platform and, pitching and querying. I work with authors who are going with traditional press and I work with indie authors, but I also consult and contract with a number of publishers from very large to very small. And so I am often brought on to consult with publishers who say, I know what you're going to say to these questions, like, what if I don't want to do a website? But I need someone else to say it. They need a bad cop who can go away and they can be like, man, she was pretty mean, wasn't she? But she did have a point. And sometimes I'm literally like, people are just like, hey, can you come and just say these things, but say them to the author directly so that we can like be the good guy, but also tell them that you're right. And I'm like, yeah, of course I can. If you're going to pay me, of course I can. And it's just because I have this very firm feeling that as far as talking to authors and consulting and things is I would rather tell you the hard truths. I've had people call me all sorts of names. I've had lots of things happen because people did not like the things I told them. Now, sometimes I'm sharing my opinions, like I do not think your cover fits the genre, or I feel like maybe there's an issue here. And sometimes it is opinion, things like a website. Technically, that's an opinion. I will tell you that I'm right and you should have your own. However, it is technically an opinion. And sometimes people really do not like hearing those hard truths because those hard truths often mean that you have to do more work, you have to try harder, you have to invest something, and that can be a real pain. But I very much feel like I do not serve the author community or the publishers I work with. I am not a true friend to those people if I just tell them what they want to hear. I feel like many authors and creative people have a lot of yes men people who either really just are cheerleading them and want to encourage them, or people who just want them to stop talking about it. So they're like, yeah, it's fantastic because they just want them to stop talking about it. And I feel like creative people have a lot of those people around, but there's not truly that many people or even enough people who are going to say, I love this. It's fantastic, but I see this really big problem. Because when you're creating something, when you're pouring your heart into your words, or you have created your own art for your book cover, whatever it may be, you are very likely emotionally attached to it. And when someone comes in and tells you that your baby is not as pretty as you thought it was, the immediate reaction is, excuse me, well, you're wrong. Yeah, I get it. I get it. But I also know, again, that I'm not a true friend to the people I work with or to the authors I talk to if I don't share some of those hard truths. And sometimes I'll say, well, this is my opinion. Go do some more research, but don't ask people who love you. That's always my caveat. Do not ask people who work for you and depend on you for their paycheck. And do not ask people who love you or live in the same house as you, because it's very few people who are going to pick a fight with you if they have to live with you afterwards. It's just the way that it's just human nature. It's how we work, right? Let's see. We've got some more questions here that I wanted to get to. Okay. This one from L. How do I go about a cold call to email someone in request of an ARC review of my upcoming book? Of the four people I'm interested in, one is a blogger with class offerings and a YouTube presence that I'm on her email list, but with no paid services. Two are YouTubers, one of which I often exchange comments, but under a different username than my author name. And another was an ARC reviewer for my first book, but I haven't talked to them in a long time. Can I send them an email early on, just an FYI sort of thing, to let them know that when the time comes in a couple months from now, I'd like to contact them to be a reviewer? How do I compose these emails? What do I say? How much do I say? What don't I say? Really, really great questions. So let's kind of take that one from the top. When we are reaching out to ARC reviewers, if you have a personal relationship with them or if you've been following them, you want to bring that up. Hey, Joe, I've been following your YouTube channel for years. I'm such a big fan of yours. You really got me when you did this video. I was wondering if when my book comes out on blah, 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 if you'd be willing to take a look to review it. It's available in ebook, print book, blah, blah, blah. So you kind of just mention that to them. You tell them why you're reaching out to them and what your connection is. If it is someone that you very often connect with, but under a different name, I would simply say that. I would say, hey, Joe, it's Keri. I know you probably see my comments under my pen name, Jerry, and I just wanted to let you know I have a new book coming out. I've loved our banter and would love if you'd review it. So just tell them. Just tell them how you're connected. If it's someone that you haven't talked to in a while, I mean, you can always say, hi, Joe, you were a reviewer on my first book and your feedback and encouragement meant a lot to me. I've got another book coming up and I was wondering if you'd be interested in reviewing this book as well. So again, you're going to connect personal statement. That's how we open, with our personal statement. And then from our personal statement, we go on to the ask. Put it out there. Don't beat around the bush. We do not need your life story. We do not need 5 paragraphs about the book. Here's how we're connected. Here's my personal statement of why we're fuzzy. And then here's my ask. And you put it out there. As far as timing, I would say that letting people know it's coming, absolutely. You can say it's coming up in a little while, but not too far in advance. Like 3 months is probably the most I would do for the average person. Now, if this was like someone who's a celebrity, a really big time author, as much time as you can. Like 6 months is not too early to reach out for an advanced review. And it depends, are you looking for an endorsement, which you can use in your marketing, or are you looking for someone who is going to leave a review on Amazon? If you're looking for someone who's going to leave a review on Amazon, reach out like 2 months in advance and then let them know that the book will be ready for them on whatever date. And that date should only be like 2 weeks before the book launches, because they can't leave a review on Amazon until the book is live on Amazon. So you really don't want to give them the book so far in advance that they completely forget what they thought about it before they can leave a review. You're not obligated to use anyone's review if they give you a review or endorsement. It is by choice. So you don't have to use it. Let's see. And then if you hope to use the review on the back cover of the book, when they say, yeah, I would love to, set your expectations. Thank you so much. The book will be available on November 1st. I can get it to you in ebook or print format. Just let me know your preference. I'm really hoping to have reviews back by December 15th, so I can use them on the back cover of the book, which launches February 19th of 2025. Of course, I'm making up arbitrary dates, but you get the idea. We're setting the expectations of when things are available, how they're available, when you're hoping to hear back from them, and then what you hope to use for it. And if they say, yeah, absolutely, send me a print copy of the book, that sounds great. You send it, you send an email just saying, hey, confirm me you got that book. If you have any questions, let me know. And then if you don't hear from them closer to the time you ask for that review, checking in. Thanks so much for reading the book. I hope you loved it. Can't wait to hear your review or read it, whatever it is. Perfect. Once they send you the review, again, this is back and forth, like we're conversating. Once they send you the review, wow, thank you so much. This is so encouraging. I just want to confirm that I can use this for marketing. I intend to print it on the back of the book. How would you like to be attributed? How would you like your title to be on my book? So again, we're confirming, reconfirming, it's in print, it's in writing, we're giving permission, and it should all be good there. And this kind of conversation, again, it's a back and forth. It will depend on your relationship with that person, how you communicate with them. It will depend on their needs and their timing, how popular they are, how well you know them. So many different things that go into that. And how do you write an endorsement letter? Again, it's pretty just simple. Just make that connection and then kind of put it in here. I have a sample endorsement pitch for fiction. Oh, give me a second, I'll pull it up and then I'll share it as I do. Once I can find my page, I'll do that. All right. This one. Sorry, I know I just like got my face all up in here. All right. So this is kind of my sample. It starts with a greeting, our connection paragraph. Be genuine. Don't say you've been following them for years if you haven't. Segue into your book and how it's similar to theirs, or why they would have a good person or be a good person to blurb your book. Acknowledge their time and make your ask. Offer the title and formats available. Thank you and sign off. Again, make a connection of how you intend to keep in touch, set your expectations, and then you just sign up. Then you can put the book description and all the information down below if you need to. So if you already have like pre-order link or something you want to physically show them, like, hey, here's the full book description, absolutely put it in there. Put it after the email. Make the email very skimmable. So this is, again, just a complete sample that I came up with. I just came up with because this is what I do. So sample of that put into action would be, hi, Big Shot, whatever their name is. We're not going to call them Big Shot. Hi, Big Shot. It was wonderful to see you again at the New Shelves Writing Conference. Your presentation was excellent, as always. I loved your advice on creating a reader avatar before beginning Facebook ads. I intend to use this strategy for my debut novel, The Best Book Ever. As I mentioned really briefly at the conference, The Best Book Ever is scheduled to come out this fall. The centerpiece of the series is a small town similar to the one I grew up in, and coincidentally similar to your really big famous book. The neighbors are nosy, the men are sexy, and the women, well, they're just there for the horses and shirtless cowboys. This was obviously written for a romance title. I was helping an author there. Anyway, I am certain you are busy with your own publishing schedule, but it would be a great honor if you would consider reviewing The Best Book Ever. A blurb from you would make my year. On the chance that you will say yes, I've included a link to download a PDF of the book below. I'm also happy to send you a print copy of The Best Book Ever if you let me know the best mailing address for that. Thanks for reading and good luck with your really next famous title launch. I'm looking forward to reading it in December. And then you sign off and put your information, and then you put your book information. So again, it just depends. Now, if I was reaching out to a CEO that I connected at a business conference, it might be a little bit more formal. But if it's just another author, I'm just gonna work it in there. I'm gonna be a human. They're gonna be a human. I think that's one of the things is we feel like we have to um I think that we feel like we have to like be super formal or like do just the right thing. But the truth is we just have to be ourselves and we just have to make a connection and put our ask out there. They're either going to say yes or no. And I will say I have had clients have yeses from really big name authors, and I've had them say no from a lot of people. Just depends. But put your ask out there. It's free. What is it? Okay, so they say no. You didn't lose anything, right? Yeah. And now you can rest at night knowing that you tried. Let's see. What are your thoughts on author profit participation agreements where the author agrees to purchase 1,000 copies of their book from the publisher in exchange for publishing their book? This is often kind of a type of hybrid publishing. So where the publisher will say, oh no, we publish your book for free. You're just required to pay $5 per book for and order 1,000 copies. You're paying them $5,000. Many times the price that they offer for your print book is not actual the print cost. So let's just say they're earning a profit on every book typically. So they'll say you just have to purchase 1,000 copies and we will give you those at 20% off the retail listing. You're paying to publish. I would much rather have someone just upfront say, hey, we're a hybrid publishing company. We offer you these services, but we partner with you and then you pay us. We keep the publishing rights. You get a little bit higher royalty than traditional publishing and you're paying us. I'd rather have that up front than these profit participation. I think it's just kind of a sneaky way to say that you're paying to publish. These are my personal opinions and feelings. Now, I think it's about the same deal depending on the contract, but that's how I feel. Yeah, exactly. It's very normal for a hybrid publisher to extend like, okay, I will offer you 5 free copies or 10 free copies, and then as many copies as you want at a certain discount where it's above the print price. So the publisher is making a profit, but you get your books at a discounted price. And many of those are not obligation, it's an option. So it just depends. Let me check back here. Okay, I wanted to cover 2 bits of industry news just because they're very much on point right now. Number one, if you have not heard, Kindle Vella is going kaput. Kindle Vella is, of course, the serialized writing platform that Kindle KDP created. Essentially, they were trying to be Wattpad. Kindle was started some time ago. It never really took off because the thing is that Kindle readers who read a lot of books usually are on Kindle Unlimited. They're reading that way. The serialized fiction they try to pick up, but then you had to pay for it. Where on places like Wattpad and so many places, Radish, you can get things for free. And they've been doing it for a long time. It was worldwide. They'd already marketed this. Kindle tried to jump on the bandwagon, Amazon did, and it just didn't work out well. It never really took off. I actually said when it first came out, I didn't think it would last. And I'm sorry for those who have spent time on this platform trying to build up, but it was essentially a money pit. It never really took off. And so Kindle Vella will be closing, officially done as of February 2025. They made this announcement, I think it was October 28th. And as of the day of the announcement, they were not accepting any new stories, but they were allowing authors to continue publishing their chapters in a current story through December 4th. Then, as of December 4th, there was no more posting to Kindle Vella. It's done. Readers had until February 2025 until the platform was taken down. And so that is kind of going away. I honestly, it was US only. It was never extended internationally because they were still playing with that. Um, and so and so that is just one of the things. I personally am not surprised. I actually posted about this in a writers group I moderated, and it was amazing how many people are like, I've never heard of this. What is Kindle Vella? They had no clue. So it was not anything that really ever took off. But if you are involved in Kindle Vella, if you haven't heard yet, it is now going away. I know Amazon failed at something. But I shouldn't gloat. I shouldn't gloat. That was so terrible of me. But I mean, honestly, they make plenty of money other places. The other thing I wanted to bring up is I've kind of been following this and talking about this, that there's a lot of questions of whether Spotify was actually viable for audiobooks. It was over a year ago when Spotify started putting audiobooks up on their platform, and there was a lot of talk of, are they even going to get more people? And I said from the beginning, yes, I will say I was right. I said from the beginning, I think Spotify has a huge opportunity for audiobooks because they have people who are already subscribing, listening to things all the time, whether it be music or podcasts, and bringing that consumer to audiobooks. I said from the beginning, I thought it would be a great deal. And um, new reports are confirming that Spotify is actually paying real money to publishers. They are taking part of the audiobook market. They are increasing the audiobook market, and they are a truly viable option for audiobook sales and for audiobook royalties and revenues. So it's just good to see that there are actually like some reports coming out that are confirming. And just reading off of this, digital audio has been growing a lovely 12 to 15% a year by industry statistics. And through the first 7 months of this year, the category has grown by 25%. 25% in dollars, in revenue, 25% in the first 7 months of 2024. I keep saying this. Audio, and I really mean to, because Spotify at the moment is not publishing AI audiobooks or digital voice audiobooks. Real narration, it's not dead. It's not going anywhere. It's still increasing. It's still an option, and it's still definitely something the author should be considering. So in dollars, it's grown 25% in the first 7 months of this year. And that puts Spotify at boosting the market by 10% or more. I'm just going to mic drop and say I was right. That's all. I have to take my wins, my very little wins where I can. I think that it just goes to show that this is one of those markets where traditional readers are being brought in, are non-traditional readers, people who are not necessarily reading a bunch of print books or Kindle books, are being brought over because the market went to where they were at. The market went to where they were already listening to music or podcasts all day long. And they're like, hey, you want to listen to a book? And it's working. And I love to see that. I love to see that we're expanding not only our market, but also the opportunity for readers. So it makes me really happy to see that. I think Spotify has some nice terms for authors. I think it's just one more platform and opportunity for audiobook sales and for authors to pull in royalties and be successful. And so I love to see that. I will continue tracking it. And if your audiobook, of course, we know that you can be exclusive with ACX, which means your book is only on iTunes and Audible, and ACX pays you a higher royalty. They pay you 40%, or you can be non-exclusive. That means that you can go to ACX for Audible. You get paid 25% royalty, which is pretty standard. And then you can take your audiobook and go through Publish Drive or direct to retailers like Kobo. You can go to Findaway Voices, which is an aggregator, and you can get your book wide into Kobo, Spotify, and all those different places. And it's not exclusive. Your royalties are a little smaller, but you have a lot more reach. So it depends on the genre in the book for what I recommend. But I love to see these options happening, and I love to see the market going somewhere. Amazon is, I'm not refuting that Amazon is one of the top sales platforms for authors and books. And I think it is foolhardy for authors who say, I'm just not going to use Amazon, um, business wise anyway. But I love to see when authors and publishers have the chance to diversify and earn royalties and income in multiple places rather than putting all their eggs in one basket. Because I have seen Amazon accounts be shut down. I have seen Findaway Voices have problems. I've seen different things. So I love to see different streams of revenue and income for different places. I think it just makes a great opportunity for authors, and it's smart business, in my opinion. So, yes. All right. It is 11 o'clock. I have another house showing, so I got to scram before more people come. But thank you guys for being here. I'll be back next Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, so you can join me live then. And yes, for anyone who has enjoyed Free Advice Friday, New Shelves Books, or have consulted with me directly, again, I do appreciate if you consider going over to Google or Facebook and leaving reviews. It means a lot to me just to be able to share that. Just like you have social proof with reviews on your books, I have social proof with reviews on those places. So it means a lot to me. Thank you so much for anyone who has done that or who will do that. And I will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.